I just got back from the International Solid Waste Association study tour on decentralized bio-waste recycling in Austria. A bit of a mouthful, basically to say we studied the compost scene in Austria. And just to clarify, I have interviewed a lot about Australia this season, but this is not that. I am in Austria in Europe, bordering Germany, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, and Slovenia. On this day, September 5th, we visited Hof Farm, Farm 3, and spoke with second-generation composter Verena. Her family's farm was an inspiring mix of compost production, crop production, and social connection with people of all abilities and ages. This episode is a little different. Instead of an interview, I've recorded the lecture given at Farm 3. You will first hear a little introduction from Verena about her farm, and then from Florian, who's been part of the compost scene in Austria since 1986. Florian organized this study tour. He's going to explain how compost collection works in that area of Lower Austria. This is a system of collection and processing that works well in a semi-rural area. 37 rural municipalities organize themselves into an association that manages all issues concerning household waste in that region. For the composting part of separation, the association works with 6 compost farms in the region, each processing roughly 2,000 tons annually. That's pretty small scale. Verena's family farm is one of those 6 farms. Note that these compost farms weren't making compost of scale before the association was formed. The association worked with these farmers and the public to get composting started up. The association is part of the public authority and is responsible for setting the rates on waste, including compost tipping fees, public relations, providing bins to household, and levying taxes to fund it all. The country of Austria doesn't handle the waste as a nation. It's up to the smaller regions to handle it, similar to the states in the USA. I was really paying attention as a resident of Rhode Island in USA. Here we have 39 towns in our state, similar to the 37 municipalities in Lower Austria. We are more densely populated, but there are a lot of things we could adopt from this model. You will hear questions from those on tour with me. We had representatives from Austria, Ghana, Bulgaria, Malta, Italy, China, Netherlands. The accents can be challenging to decipher, but listen closely because the thoughts being shared by these diverse minds are so valuable. Welcome to The Composter, a podcast for farmers and composters. I'm your host and fellow composter, Jayne Merner. Join me in practical conversation between industry professionals and farmers with a passion for producing high-quality compost. We're going to dig deep into the science, technology, and art of compost production so that we as composters can help enliven the world's soils. This episode of the Composter podcast is brought to you by High Country News. High Country News is an independent, non-profit publication that has been covering the Western United States for more than 50 years. HCN provides unique on-the-ground reporting on the land, water, wildlife, and communities of the region with dedicated coverage of climate, environmental, and indigenous issues. Sign up for free newsletters or a trial of the magazine at hcn.org/no-till. This episode is also brought to you by the Culinary Breeding Network and Glenwood. On Monday, October 16th from 4 to 8 p.m. at Glenwood Center for Regional Food and Farming in Cold Spring, New York, there will be an engaging evening of conversation, learning, and tasting brought to you by the Culinary Breeding Network and Glenwood. The Variety Showcase is designed to create connections among plant breeders, seed growers, farmers, chefs, bakers, distillers, retailers, distributors, and consumers. That's all of us. Attendees will have the unique experience to taste new and in-development vegetable, fruit, and grain cultivars. They can engage in conversation, share opinions, and take part in breaking down the walls between eaters and breeders. Tickets are available on both Culinary Breeding Network and Glenwood websites. Enjoy the show.
So, welcome to Verena. I introduced you a little bit and the farm in the bus.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah. So, welcome everybody to Dreierhof. It's actually called farm number 3. So, it's got its name because we have just street number 3, but number 3 is a big number to us because we are actually 3 siblings. My brother and I are running the farm currently, and our little sister is helping a lot. And we also can say we have 3 big parts of our farm. We live diversity here. So we have the classical agriculture with farming, cropping, and we have the composting complex. It's the second one. And the third one is the green care part where we live lots of inclusion. We have social programs at the farm. So we want to connect nature, animals, and humans at our farm. And so I'm very happy to welcome you here. And today you will visit our composting complex. We run it since the early 80s. Yeah. So when my parents started the composting complex, this was a very new project. So this was the time when farmers started to do composting. So when farmers started collecting bio-waste here. So you will hear more from Florian, but we are a cooperation of 6 farmers who collect all the bio-waste of our region. Okay? So, I think it's enough introduction and enjoy your stay. And I wish you a very nice and a nice trip with lots of learning.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Verena. It is not the first time that I'm here. The first time I've been here was in 1995 or 96 or something like that, because you started your activities in 92, approximately. Yeah?
Well, I changed something. It was the 80s where my parents took over the farm, and in the 90s.
Started the composting. Yes. Yeah. And actually, this is one of the pioneer regions here for the on-farm cooperative composting scheme for bio-waste. So, and in the early 90s, in the province of Lower Austria, there was a young team that established in the province the Department for Environment. And it started with compost parties in the gardens of the citizens. And this was the upcoming consciousness about our environment, so that we don't know, at least we start in our home gardens not to use mineral fertilizer anymore or pesticides, but to recycle it on site. And in parallel to that, it was the headline of the beginning of separate collection of bio-waste as decentralized as possible, and as much as cooperation with the farmers as possible, and as centralized, industrialized composting schemes as needed for densely populated areas. So this is why these decentralized schemes started. And here in Lower Austria, with approximately 1.6 million inhabitants, so the whole province, you have apparently 80 composting plants. When we go tomorrow, we are in Upper Austria, so the neighboring province, it's 140 composting plants for 1.4 million inhabitants. So the average is 1,000 tons per plant, 1,000 to 2,000 tons. So very small scale. So the scheme we could could name it also, every village, it's compost master. Yeah, it's compost plant, it's farmer. So these 2 most prominent provinces started it. But as you have seen yesterday, that the responsibility for collection of non-hazardous waste is up to the province in principle. So the chancellor of the province needs to organize it, and the practical organization is down to the municipality. And as I told you, the municipalities here you have Austria again, and here you have Lower Austria. with the different districts, the counties, the political districts, and the political districts are just the same as the waste management associations. Yeah? They've joined. And this is then, we're more or less in the center of Lower Austria, and we are now here with the city of St. Pölten. Don't ask me how many she's gone. I don't know how many inhabitants the capital of this district has. Weißt du, how many inhabitants St. Pölten has? Approximately 10, 13,000, 20,000? 13, 15,000 inhabitants. So this is a statutory town. They have their own waste management and their own organization. But the rest of the province has joined in this waste management and environmental association. Yeah. So, and therefore, this municipal association takes the aim is contains 37, nearly 40 municipalities. They have a board of mayors, and they make the main decisions who is contracted and about the organization of waste collection. And it is a public authority. So it's not private public, it's a pure public institution in this case. They have different duties, tax on land and buildings. Actually, that's a translation of Martin. I don't know what is municipal rates. Do you know what is municipal rates? Never mind, we can ask him. But what is important, every house now has to have an energy certificate now. And they do the advice and the control of the energy certificates for each building, in order to lower the energy consumption for heating and so forth. So this is a new task of these associations. But what is interesting for you now is I've made some additional notes somewhere here. We have in these 104,000 inhabitants and approximately 1,000 square kilometers, population density, easy to calculate, of 100 per square kilometer. This is just so an indicator. Where can I do? From the moment I have 2,000, I'm in a very urbanized area. I need to think about another logistic. If I'm in such a rural area, in Austria, we have in these semi-rural, urban, village-like areas, a population density between 50 and 100. And these are the typical areas where this decentralized model works fantastic. Yeah? This is just an indicator for that. 37 municipality. Here, the population is approximately, so the households contain 2.5, 2.3 to 3 people per household. Yeah. So this is the factor mainly you can count. At the end, these 47,000 municipal household waste, which includes also small commercial entities, the entire household waste is approximately 450 kilogram per inhabitant. This is 1 point, because there was a question, what is per day? It's 1.2 kilograms per day that is produced of waste. And now it's important that what you have heard yesterday, that the collection, the participation in the separate collection via the biobin collection is partly obligatory and voluntary. If you provide evidence that you do home composting successfully, you can tell the association, I don't need the collection because I do it on my home, in my home garden. So you have the choice as a citizen. But the problem in some areas is to control it, because people say, I do home composting, but there's a park, a wood, a forest side, put it there. That shouldn't be the case. But here we have 50% of the population takes part in the collection scheme. The other 50% do home composting. Okay. So this reduces costs. This is prevention. Yeah. This is important in terms of communication. Please interrupt me if there is something not clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Average household size.
Yeah.
What you got you?
This is the household size, 2.5 people per household. It's average. Living in one household. 2.5. 2.5 people. So you and me and I didn't introduce you, Marie, and half Marie live in one household, okay? In average, statistically spoken. So our families are small.
Why?
Yeah, I can tell you immediately, we are not so fertile. We used a lot of pesticides and glyphosate. Okay, but it will change in future because the next generation, But it is the case, and in the urbanized areas, so many single households, and marriage age changed from 50 years ago between 22 and 25, 6, 7 to 32 to 40.
Wow.
Yeah, first child between 30 and 35. Even my children. Yeah. So this is people first want to work, want to experience themselves and self-reliant, and this has changed a lot. Yeah, this was the question.
That's the next. But then, how do you mobilize labor on the farms?
I come to that. Okay. Then facts and figures. The total figures here, I think, doesn't tell you anything. But what is interesting, how much bio-waste, this is brown bin collection, yeah, house door-to-door collection, per household and per kilogram per household and inhabitants. So I think the inhabitants per people, per capita, is the more interesting figure you can compare. 66 from the brown bin with mixed garden, with fine garden waste and kitchen waste. Kitchen waste is included. Also meat. Even if the advertisement, so in the information sheet, they say don't collect meat and bones because they smell and make problems, but they put it in anyhow. Then there is a separate collection scheme for bulky garden waste, means for bush cuttings and tree cuttings, etc., where we have a bring system. It's not collected door to door. You bring it to a collection point, more or less the same, it doubled the amount. And then you have also some separate collection of fine garden waste. This is grass, leaves, and flowers, etc. 40 in total, 170 kilograms. And this is in total from the bio-waste 0.5 kilogram per day per inhabitant. And the overall, the 170, again, you see already 447 kilogram per household, 170 kilogram per inhabitant. The total amount is again 1.2 kilogram per day that is collected. And this is the important figure then for calculating the capacity of collection and the capacity for the composting plants that you have to know. This is, So, how is the collection scheme organized overall? We have a door-to-door collection system for residual waste, for paper waste, and for plastics. Yeah, and that is directly charged. The residue and the fees that are charged from the households is mainly depending on the size of the bin. So if you have usually the standard container is 120 liters, and they charge 150 euros per the 120 liter bin. That is collected. How often is it collected? The residual waste. Do you know that? Every 4 weeks. I think it's collected every 4 weeks. In former times, the mixed waste bin was collected every week. When the recycling and separate collection for recyclables and bio-waste started, this frequency of collection of residual waste was why it was reduced from weekly to fortnightly, in some areas every 6 weeks, because the amount of residual waste was reduced. And this is you save a lot of money, if you reduce residual waste collection. So this is counterbalanced, of course, with the frequent collection, every weekly or fortnightly collection of biowaste. But it's still a bit cheaper. And then you have every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, the paper collection from the households. And then there is a combined collection of all packaging, from the households. And you see the figures, and then we come to, this is the door-to-door collection scheme. And then in addition, you have the bring scheme for glass. You have these collection points distributed every, 500 meters in the villages, etc. You have a collection point where people bring their glass, white and colored glass, wearable clothes. This is a bigger tricky issue because a lot of used and recycled clothes is exported to Africa. And in Africa, some African countries, I don't know how it is in Ghana, are flooded with our non-used clothes and is somehow competing with the local, how I call the industry?
Economy?
No, the clothes, textile economy, local textile economy. So it's an issue we have to tackle. The export of our recyclable, not usable clothes exported. However, this is a bring scheme, and there's an indicator. We have 115 households per collection point. Also a calculation method: how many people, how many collection points you need for what capture area.
All right, everyone, important public service announcement. I know some of you are already making plans for how you'll spend the winter, ordering tools, researching seeds, projecting crops. It's also a great time to gather with other farmers to share knowledge and skills. This February 22nd to 24th, join thousands of farmers like you and me from across the U.S. for 3 days of community building and farmer-led learning at the 35th Annual Marble Seed Organic Farming Conference. Save the date and find out more at marbleseed.org/conference. This episode is also brought to you by Viably, the master distributor of Comtech products in North America. For over 25 years, Comtech has worked with scientists, agriculture experts, and customers to develop a proven 4-step process that produces healthy, contaminant-free compost while optimizing commercial production efficiency. This process is known as shred, turn, screen, and separate. You can learn more about Viably at thinkviably.com. While you're there, request a complimentary consultation to discover if the Comtech process is right for your commercial operation. It's your host here, Jayne. I have a Comtech Star screen, and it has seriously increased the efficiency of our screening process here at Earthcare Farm. Viably is proud to support the Composter podcast and is ready to help you make the most of a great opportunity. And now, back to the show.
There's a differentiation between biowaste and residual waste. So usually for residual waste, you have the drum system or a compacting truck, but also for biowaste, you have not a drum system because it's mixing and a lot of leachate and water is coming out. You cannot separate properly. You have a compaction truck, which is not destroying the structure when it is loaded to the composting plant. I will show you a picture of the truck later on. And the third level beside this collection point is a recycling center that have been demonstrated also by the city of Vienna yesterday, where you have a lot of different fractions people bring, like wood, metal, bulky waste, electronic waste, cables, and so forth for recycling. And tomorrow we will see in detail how that is organized in Upper Austria. But what is most interesting, how the concept of bio-waste collection. So every household receives such a bucket with holes in it, yeah, plus for the whole year, so at least 50 to 120, these thin layer starch-based compostable bags for collection of the kitchen waste. Yeah. It is certified by an European standard that it is guaranteed that it will provide complete composting under normal, I say, professional composting systems. In home composting, when you just put it there and wait, and you don't turn it, and you don't have temperature, and you have a lack of humidity, it will take also quite long. Yeah? But it is tested also for home composting that it would degrade within half a year. Yeah? So within half a year, it has to be completely degraded. So this is the, and I can tell you that based on a campaign of the Compost and Biogas Association, polyethylene shopping bags were banned 2 years ago in Austria completely from the entire economy. So you would not find non-compostable, non-certified bags anymore in the shops. There are residual stocks, yeah, that are still you find here and there on the market, but they are not allowed to produce and to anymore. Is this correct? Ministry? Yeah.
It is correct, but we have one exception.
Yeah.
The bags for our waste.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's one. Yeah.
It's a pity, but we still have one big exception.
Yeah. So for the collection of dry recyclables and residual waste, you still use the PE, so polyethylene bags. Next generation will solve this problem also. The other possibility we will see also is that you use with these strong paper bags with a double layer on the bottom that the liquids are not leaching out if it's collected within a week. So this is also completely compostable. So this is an important service for the household because the key argument here is convenience, that it's easy to handle for the households so that they are committed to do the separate collection in their kitchen. Every 2 weeks, in other areas weekly, during the summer, every 2 weeks during the winter, you put your kitchen bag into the bio bin, put it in the front of the door, and you have the curbside collection with such a contracted collector. This is a professional collection company that is contracted to do the collection, and they bring now in this area the bio waste during a specified route to 6 different contracted composting plants in the region that are distributed in the whole area. So you receive how many times a year you have this campaign when you receive your bio waste?
How
often have you have a campaign that they deliver?
Every second week.
So it's continuously every second week, not a campaign in June and in August and so no. Okay, so it is continuously over the whole year, but depending on the area, one of the 6 different composting plants between 1,000 and 3,000 tons per year are supplied with the bio waste. Okay, so that's not one big one, but 6 farmers that profit from this system. Okay, here you have this what I've already described. It's free of charge. So the delivery is a supply with the collection bucket, this bucket here, and the bags is included in the entire waste management fee. So it's not charged extra. Because if you say, okay, you pay another 10 euro, the people say, oh no, I don't, I don't take part. Yeah? So it's another matter of convenience. All right. And here you have the brown bin. But what you pay is if you do not home composting, they say it's an incentive to start home composting in this rural area. They charge 75 euros per year for the smaller one, for the 120 liter, and 150 euros, so the double for 240 liter. This one is needed only in high-rise buildings. It's multi-apartments, settlements. Yeah. And this is every second week. That's quite an intensive service in order to combat the vermins and the flies and the larvae and the smell. It is washed by a special washing device on the collection truck. They wash the bins. This is what a typical apartment, multi-story houses collection point looks like, with the bio-waste in the front. For, I would say, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 30 to 40 households included for such a situation. This is residual waste, always gray. This is paper, and the yellow is packaging. And this is the 4 fractions for door-to-door collection. Here you have the overview. We won't discuss the details now in the presentation, but you have all the figures, total costs per household, costs per inhabitant, and costs per ton. So I ask him to give you the detailed calculation, what the cost would be, and what we can say. How much do you charge? What do you get per ton of bio-waste at the moment? Because I'm not quite sure if you receive a bit more than that one. Huh?
Yes, we got 56.
Yeah. So there, I have to ask him again. So the gate fee, the tipping fee for Verena, for each ton of bio-waste they receive is 56 euros approximately per ton. And in average, we have done a calculation for all over Austria and the different situations to the break even, including revenue, is between 55 and 65 euros currently. Now it increased due to inflation and the difficult situation we are in at the moment. It might come a little bit more. So negotiations, when you start as a farmer or the compost producer below 55, you shouldn't start your job. Otherwise, you cannot pay. If you pay everything on your own, if you're not subsidized, you ask how is this funded? Everything, the entire waste management, is funded by the charges, by the fees paid by the household. And it's rather calculated that they pay for the whole service, or they pay extra, pay as you throw for residual waste. So the strategy is to make the residual waste bin expensive and recycling cheap. And in order to keep recycling, all the recyclables collection and service cheap, you need to collect clean recyclables, clean bio-waste, clean packaging in order to sell it on the market, to make, at the end, also a profit from the compost. If the compost industry or the compost farmers make a profit for their farms, or by selling the compost, they can agree maybe even to a lower price for the treatment. So shifting waste management to products management, to marketing. This is a current, or since 10 years, a new development that in the beginning it was all payment for waste treatment, because one of the definitions of waste is that somebody wants to get rid of it. I want to discard something that I cannot use anymore. So I need a service to take care. And this must be paid. And now in the recycling and circular economy thinking, we change our concept towards, these are resources. These are resources. And therefore, we think about the final product we can put back into the economy, into the markets that is useful for some purpose. And but we are in the range of these 65 euros per ton. So, but this is cost. And we can say the overall cost, biobin collection, fine and bulky garden waste, including treatment, overall, the cost for the association is 150 euros per ton. And now another figure, only landfilling, incineration, residual waste, processing, treatment is 150 tons without collection. So the 80 euros approximately of collection comes on top. And therefore, it's already considerably cheaper. And this is also what is included is not only the collection with the brown bin, it is also the service of bring schemes in the recycling centers for bulky green waste, and people bring their stuff. And also the shredding, there's a company that does the shredding, and part of it goes to the composting plants, and part of it goes to biomass incineration and heat production. As I'm informed here, you pay to the Waste Management Association, also to the assembly of municipalities. This is all organized within the assembly. Yes, and you are charged the household get a bill every year or every quarter of a year, and
the bill, how do you need taxing?
No, direct. It's a directly invoice. Yeah, it's not part of the tax system. It's an invoice by the assembly, by the authority, the waste authority. So, and this is charged, and if you don't pay, they send you another invoice, and if you still
But you know when you draw the service?
No. There come a incasso company at some stage, and the lawyer, and then at the end. Okay, that's so you owe and it's not. No, they can't withdraw because there's an obligation. No, it's a legal. Every household has to participate in waste collection. It's an obligation, a legal obligation. You cannot, bypass. Somebody has to watch the time. Yeah? I think we had more or less these figures. The next here is the total figures and costs. I think we can jump over that because this. So these are about the 6 composting plants. The regionality, low distance. So there is also in the European strategies, there's one term, it's proximity principle. I say the waste should be treated as close, as near to the point of origin. Okay, just do it. It's nothing very special to have low transportation with all the negative effects. And to support local economy, of course. Yeah, regional economy, close to recycling rooms. So I think we don't need. It's logic why we do this decentralized model. There are 6 composting plants. I don't know why my dear friend Hans put this picture here of a composting heap, but maybe it's good because it shows some of the problems. Sometimes people from the high-rise buildings, multi-story building, just do not understand. Then we have The leaflets and the information is in 6 or 5 different languages because of the immigration background of some areas. So sometimes communication is not easy how to do it. So impurities is an issue, and I think Verena will talk about that. These are just some examples of these composting plants, all very simple, open window plants. And here's the bulky waste. So we will see that outside. And here you see the recycling center where the people bring their bulky garden waste. That is then shredded by a service. And then this is the last slide. What is most important is public relation, information, that people understand the benefits, that people understand how they are needed to support the system in order to make it, at the end, more viable, economically more viable, to help be part of the environmental solutions and good environmental performance, and that we need everybody in the scheme, the collector, the farmers, the citizens, the municipal associations, the mayors, the politicians, all must sit together on one table and have one storytelling behind, one message behind. This is important. And yesterday, because I just see that you sit here, Jayne, she gave us a key message. Yeah. And at the beginning, I tried to mention this. The key message is, in this case, is biodiversity for the health of soil, plants, animals, and people. This is what we are talking about when we talk about biowaste. Excursions. And we are here with Verena's farm and parents. This is an excursion training and learning farm as a very prominent example. And she will show you and explain you this one. Now, in the name of Hans, thank you for your attention.
Okay, there's so much to break down from this lecture. I'm going to include some slides and photos in the show notes in case you want more. The things that really stood out to me from this lecture were that each compost facility took in only 1,000 to 3,000 tons of compost per year. In Florian's words, every village has a compost master. I love this concept. Make it convenient for the households. Shift the mindset from waste management to product sales. Circular economy thinking so that we can see all things as resources. Not actually, just as nature does. There's no waste in nature. Trash now only gets collected there every 4 to 6 weeks ever since the composting became the norm. That's amazing. That's because the amount of trash is so greatly reduced, and because there's no stinky trash. That's now all composted. That offers a huge cost savings for these regions. I'm very excited to explore all the options out there so that we can expand composting in every climate, no matter the population density. We are just getting started. If you want to check out Verena's family's farm, Farm 3, on Instagram, the handle is the number 3, ERHOF. If you have any questions or show suggestions for me, I can be reached at info@earthcarefarm.com. You can also check us out on YouTube on our Earthcare Farm channel or Instagram at earthcarefarm_RI. Thank you to No-Till Growers for making this podcast happen, all the wonderful sponsors, and the mystery of the universe aligning all the stars so that I get to follow my passion, and especially you compost-loving listeners.